Hi, Michaela. Thank you so much for joining me in this podcast episode. Really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing well, and the pleasure is mine. Super excited to have a conversation with you. And I know it's not like an exciting topic, but it's more about emotional topic. But yeah, we're gonna try to bring some value for our audience today. And I know dealing with the loss and dealing with the grief is not easy things to do. So before we get into like today's topic, I'd love to know more about you, how you end up being a life coach and choosing the coaching business.
Yes. So I ended up choosing it because I was in life coaching for a while. So
Mm,
I was receiving life coaching and it was so drastic
yeah.
and incredible the results that I experienced. So I used to be very passive. I used to be super people pleaser. Those are still my natural go-tos. I just now know that about myself so I can know, okay, this is me, wanting to be passive. This is me wanting to people please. I also loved being comfortable. So I would stay in
Mm,
situations or stay in jobs where it was, not, it was safe. It was safe. It was safe. Not really my passion or my dream or anything like that. And I was coaching for a really long time. And my coach said, I think you're someone that could really impact people through coaching. And so I took
right.
the coaching to start coaching. So I've been coaching for over 5 years now and a lot of people, and it's just, it's such an honor to be a part of their journey
Yeah.
and just get to be the person, because a lot of it's really just listening and knowing the right questions to ask
Yeah.
who I'm coaching because they're really the ones that know what's best for them or what they want to create. I mean,
Mm,
I can't know what they want to create, but I can help ask them the questions to discover that and keep them accountable. And be like, hey, what are you going to do this week to make that happen? And then when we talk next, if they say, I didn't do it. All right, awesome. Let's look why. Like
yeah.
what stopped you? So it's just been really awesome getting to partner with people and see them create whatever it is they're out to create.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it's been 5 years, like you've been coaching, and that's a great rewarding job, isn't it? Like you helping someone and seeing like they achieving things, getting things done, and getting some kind of feedbacks. It just excites you, and like you make the impact rather than it's like making money for just sake of making money, right?
Oh, yes. And I know one thing that I always like to tell my clients is I'm a coach that's going to be excited no matter what you tell me.
Yeah.
So, not to be alarmed if they're like, I discovered that I hate myself. I'm like, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
Why is that exciting? And I'm like, well, because now we know. So now we can do something about it. It's not hidden from us anymore. Now we know what that underlying motivator has been, what's been talking to you behind all your actions.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree with you. So yeah, let's talk about today's topic, which is like dealing with the grief. I know like it's close to your heart and also to me as well. Like you lost your child and your dog as well at the same time. And same with me, like I lost both of my parents when I was 13. So I can totally resonate and relate to that kind of situation, how to deal with the grief. And yeah, a lot of people don't know how to grieve properly when they lose their loved ones and everything. So before we tell other people like how they can grieve like they lose someone in a close to or yeah, they probably haven't lost someone, they in the future they will, because in life no one stays forever, then
Mhm.
eventually someone's
Yeah.
gonna be lose someone. So yeah, before we get to that, like I'd like to know your story, like how did you end up losing your first child and also like your dog on the same time? If you can tell us a little story. I know it's a sudden emotion thing for you, but it would be great to share with our audience.
Yeah, of course. And I never know when I'm gonna cry or not. Sometimes I cry when I share it, sometimes I don't. It just really is how I
Yeah.
feel in the moment. But it was around this time last year, I found out that I was pregnant. It wasn't
Mhm.
that I was trying, it wasn't that I wasn't trying. And it was one of those things like, all right, I guess, we're having a baby.
Yeah.
For me and my husband, we're like, we're having a baby. And really started planning my life for that, because I'm used to always setting plans. Like
Yeah.
this is what's next, this is the next plan. And I just remember, going to all the doctor's visits, everything was normal, everything felt normal. And I would always sing a lullaby like throughout the day, always was talking, to the baby. We were going to wait to find out, the gender till a little bit later and all of that. And so all that was happening. About 3.5 months in, I started to feel a lot of pain and to have a
Yeah.
lot of bleeding happening. And so I called my doctor, and I found out through this I have a high tolerance for pain. So I kept saying it's a 16 out of 10. And they're like, well,
Yeah.
you would be able to talk to us.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't know how I am. It really hurts. And so they did tests and they said, no, everything looks fine. Pregnancy can be weird and all of
Yeah.
that. But it turned out I had actually been in labor for 3 days.
Wow.
And so I had remembered a lot of my friends, because one of the things I did was I would ask my friends who had kids, what's your advice for pregnancy, motherhood, all of that. And they were like, trust your body, listen to your gut, trust your body, listen to your gut. And so the whole time I was experiencing that, I just started, feeling like there were certain stretches I needed to be
Yeah.
doing and all of that. Because it was too early for me to even do any, birthing classes and
Hmm.
all of that. And apparently I was doing a lot of the stretches they train you, but I just was doing what I felt I needed to do. And I went to go to the bathroom and Skylar came out. And I don't, a lot of it's kind of a blur at
Yeah.
this point, but I just remember being told that I was like screaming, and Skylar was still alive. And so and they were still attached to me. So I held them in my hand, and I held them in my hand and just like did not know where to go from there because they were too young
Yeah.
for anyone to do anything. And honestly, if it wasn't for my life coach training, I think I probably would have gone insane, to be honest, because of just how much like it was like, I can't save my baby. Like I can't, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
My life is still in danger. Like, all I can do is really hold them while they're, in my hand while they're here on earth. And so the EMTs came and they took me to like the closest hospital.
Hmm.
And the only hospital we could get into was all emergency rooms. So they didn't even have a birthing center. So I
Yeah.
was like, and I just remember I remember doing my breathing. Like I just felt I needed to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, then breathe out for 4. And I had no idea if I was going to make it or not. They didn't know. So I was choosing to be myself. So I know like the EMTs were like, we hope to see you again under
Yeah.
better circumstances. And I said, yeah, hopefully I'll have pants, and they were like, thank
Yeah.
you. Like, and when I was in there, like they couldn't give me any medicine. So I had to go through the whole birthing process, as a natural birth. And, and I kept saying to the doctors, I was like, this does really upset me, but I know I have to not process it right now because I
Yeah.
know I need to stay alive. And they were like, yes, thank you. Cause honestly, like, we're really worried about you. So
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to need to think about it afterwards. Like, I can't even deal with it. And, I always am open to share more details if anyone wants, but I know it's also gruesome. So I try to not to go too
Mm.
into the details. But I did, once it all ended, like I had to go immediately home, because they didn't have enough ER beds. And
Right.
then I had to go to a doctor's to get checked to make sure I'm healthy, all of that.
Yeah.
So it was just super traumatic. And like, not only did I lose my baby, but just the best that they could do for me was very, like, I couldn't stay resting. I had to be moving. I was still dealing with a lot of health issues. And,
Yeah.
so it was just really, really painful. And I shared my story, like exactly what happened. I gave, trigger warnings and all of that. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me that had very similar things happen,
Yeah.
saying or even happen like I had it happen a week later to a family friend who was 5 months pregnant. And she said,
Wow.
if she hadn't read my post, she wouldn't have had the strength to get through. So that's why I'm so vocal about it, because you never know who might not feel comfortable being vocal
Yeah.
about it. But it just, oh my gosh. So for me, nothing made sense. I like the world didn't make sense. Nothing made, I just was like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be anywhere. I don't want to talk to anyone. Like I couldn't save my baby, like so much guilt, so much blame, all of that. Being like, what did I do? What if I did this? Like, was it this? Like
Yeah.
was it this? And all the tests came back that, I was healthy and the baby was healthy. And sometimes that happens. And,
Mm,
um, so it was real, but, and I'll go more into it when we talk more, but I did a lot of grief work,
yeah.
because I knew if I didn't, like I had no idea where my mental state would be. And I'm someone that tends to dissociate a lot. So I knew I needed to not
Mm,
dissociate, or it would be really dangerous, because then I would not deal with what's happening and it would hit me sometime later. So it was a dark few months. And the month that I was supposed to give birth, so the month came that I knew
yeah.
going to be a tough month for me. My dog, who, she's 9 years old, got really sick. And I always consider myself a dog mom. So I'm like, these are my baby, and she was my
Yeah.
first dog and all this stuff. And she was my shadow. She followed me everywhere I went. And she just got really, really, really sick. And we went to all these different doctors, or well, vets, but
Yeah.
because I'm a dog mom, I'm like, we're going to the doctor. So we went to all these vets, and basically we kept getting the same thing, that she had brain cancer.
Wow.
And it just got so bad, so bad. And I had never had to deal with the loss of a pet that
Yeah.
also feels like my child. And so handle Callie passing, and because I'm one of the people that I believe it has to be for a reason. And I know not everyone is like that in their grief, because that can actually I've learned that some people don't want it to be for a
Yeah.
reason. For me, that is like, if it doesn't have a reason, then it's worse. um but yeah, so Callie passed away the month that I was going to give birth. And then I was like, oh my gosh, imagine if like I was dealing with all of this
Mm.
while 9 months pregnant. Like, so it was just a lot of loss this year. And
Is it all
just
happened this year or like last year?
yeah, it was October 2021 and April 2022 that this all
Yeah.
happened. So still not even a year. So
Yeah. Yeah.
all been this past year. And it's I feel like I'm the healthiest I've ever been in my life,
Mm,
because of how much work I had to do
yeah.
to not just like stop existing, I guess, really. Because
Yeah.
how painful it was. But that's pretty much the story. There's a lot of what I did and healing and all of that, but that was like, man, it was, and still there's moments where I cry and I miss them and I talk to them. And I have a little
Yeah, of
journal.
course. And
Right.
these things like never go away, right? Like when I lost both of my parents, like age 13, my dad, we knew like he's not gonna make it because he had a stage 4 cancer, like when I was 11. So it's a matter of time, like how long he can live with it. And then by the time I turned 13, like one day just gone. Then my mom couldn't take it, like she on proper depression. And
Yeah.
from that, like she had a heart attack within like 3 months time. Like then my world shattered. Like I wasn't expecting that. And all of a sudden that thing has happened. So it was like it took a really long term, like before I going through like a grief and everything. And
Yeah.
then last year I thought like everything's going fine, was expecting our first child, and she wasn't like premature, like my baby wasn't premature or anything like that. Actually my wife was overdue like a 41 weeks.
Mm,
And then the day came, like we've been told like they're gonna induce her to for like the baby to come out, and just like a few days away. And one day, like my baby wasn't moving at all. Like I'm working all day, my wife like he didn't move at all. But normally he wakes up like when I finish my work like 5, 6 o'clock. Then I start talking to him. Then he kicks her, and that
Yeah.
time we had tried that. Like he's not moving at anything. Waited like a couple of hours. Then by the time it was like at 10 p.m., I was like, let's give a call the doctors, like this is what this is. It goes like a come down emergency, then get that check and everything. There's like the baby's not responding or something, then they have to do emergency C-section. And once the baby was come out, like it was happened so fast, we couldn't realize it. And like he couldn't breathe because like he swallowed some kind of poo on the liquid, and that went to
Uh,
his lungs, and so he couldn't breathe, so his brain got damaged at that time. And then they transfer over next morning to a different children hospital, like a 1 hour away from us. And as
yeah.
soon as we went to see him, like they've been told us nothing is responding for him, like no medication working or anything like that. So you probably have 24 hours or less to make it through. If nothing is working in 24 hours, he's not gonna make it. So, and that was initially next day was like my birthday. I was just turning 26 that time,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't want to lose someone like again on my birthday, because I lost my mom a day before my birthday. So I was just
My
turning 14,
gosh.
and then I lost my mom. So I was like turning 26 or 27, I guess. Yeah, I was turning 27, and I don't want to lose my child on that time.
Yeah.
But eventually I kept the faith, and we like one day at a time and keep moving forward, just making prayers and everything, asking for prayer. There's all the thing we could do. And eventually
Yeah.
he made it through. Like he was on IC for 2 months, but it was a hell of a journey. And I can totally understand like how are you going through, because when doctor told that like there is no hope for him to be survive, because we can see it like nothing is working. Actually he got two big ventilator on oxygen and hydrogen, they're both going through him. Like he just like a 0 years old, like a only
Yeah.
few days old child. So many infusion going through his veins and everything, so it's a tough time. So this kind of tough moments is all over the place. And like next to his bed one of the child died, like he was like a proper mature and everything. And the doctor goes like, if you're gonna hug him or everything, he's not gonna make it, there is nothing you can survive it. And we seen the child to die as well in the same room like where we was in ICU. So I can totally get that, like that kind of feeling as a parent, like especially it catches you, like you don't expect it. If you lose your parents, then obviously like they older than you, they're gonna have to die either. Like some is 60 years old, some 80 years old, or someone 50 years old. But when you lose your child, and that's like unacceptable on that time moment. So how did you grieve? What was like your process like after you losing? I know like the first 2, 3 months will be like a devastating, like you can't really think straight. But eventually, like what do you actually do in terms of like put yourself keep moving forward?
Yeah, it was really tough, and I was still like I went through labor, so
Yeah.
I had to heal, like I had to rest the way that
Mm,
everyone else does during labor, and it was like and I kept feeling like I needed to take care of a baby because that's
yeah.
just natural, because my body knew it gave birth. So I kept feeling like I needed to take care of a baby. And it was just really weird. And it was one of those things where I'm like, yay, I get to go through all the joys, but there's no reward. Like it's
Mm,
like I'm going through all the things that all these amazing, powerful women, and I know everyone that's gone through childbirth knows, like really it is, a
yeah.
big deal what you go through. And and for me, that was, I think, the hardest part was there's not a lot, like not everyone, but there are a lot of people that don't understand because they're like, oh, well, you were only pregnant 3.5 months and oh, miscarriage. And I'm like, I gave birth. Like my baby passed away in my hands.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit different than just, a typical, and not that miscarriage is any less because it's still just as painful. Like I think that bond when some people try to say, well, it's just this or just that. And it's like, no matter where someone
Mm,
is lose their child, it's their child. And it's really painful. And so I think that was really difficult for me too, is that not everyone in my life understood why I was so sad. Uh
right.
But I really had a ton of support that did get it, and
Yeah.
that was huge. Like, I cannot thank enough the people that really were, like, got it, or even if they didn't understand it, they were there for me. I know I had tons of people texting and commenting and calling and reaching out the first few months, and I just was not in a space to respond to everyone. And no one was upset or expecting that, which really was so freeing for me. And I still, every message I got was felt like a hug.
Yeah.
So it was like every single person that I heard from was like, yeah, that made a difference. Even if I didn't respond for 3 months, that message still meant the world to me. So I always, whenever people ask me, like, how do I help my friend that's grieving? Like, please, like, reaching out, even if they don't respond and not making them feel like they have to respond, that
Yeah.
made all the difference for me. And I had family and friends fly out to take care of me. Like, I still was dealing with health issues afterwards, and my best friend Felicia, she came to take care of me, and, like, she had nightmares about the stuff that she saw that we were dealing with for me, and so that made me feel a little better that I was it's like I was like, "Yay, I'm not, this is actually traumatic."
Yeah.
And she's like, "You're giving me nightmares," like, just all the stuff that we're dealing with. But she's amazing. She's a life coach as well.
Okay.
Um, but so having people there, having people I could share authentically with.
Yeah.
So just telling people like, life doesn't make sense to me anymore. Like, I'm so depressed. Like, it
Hmm.
just was like I really was. And like, really, and I would have moments where, and I still do, where I feel like I'm giving birth, so it's like
Yeah.
I just go back into that. I don't know when that will go away. Not only did I work with a coach, but I got into therapy. Like, that was something I did. So that way I really had someone to talk to. And then,
Yeah.
because therapy is different than life coaching. So they are different. And then I got like a grief mentor as well. Someone that had gone through a similar situation, to talk to her and get her support. And she was incredible. And I went into a bunch of support groups, and I read a bunch of grief books. Like, I put myself out there to really understand grief,
Yeah.
because I'm someone that will be very hard on myself. And I knew I needed to heal, and I knew I needed to give myself time to really recover. And I remember, um what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I remember, like, the first week or so, all I could stomach was Nutella, like,
Yeah.
Nutella or celery. Like, those were the only two things, and it felt really weird. And one of the support classes that I was in started talking about how after grief, it can be hard to eat.
Yeah.
And if you're eating anything, hooray. So for me, I was like, okay, if I'm living off of Nutella and some, and if they said, if it persists after a month or so, that's when you should really, but grief it can be weird. You cannot want to eat. I could not eat anything with sauce.
Yeah.
I had everything so plain for whatever reason. Like, I could not stomach it. It was like, I don't know. That's just how it was for me. It had to be very, very plain. Um, and I had to make myself get out in nature as much as possible, because I had to force myself to see that there was beauty in the world.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't do that, I would have really spiraled into very, very, very deep darkness. And sometimes I liked, exploring in the rain, because part of me was like, this feels right, because everything is it's still beautiful, but it's covered in wet and mud, and so it was and then I just kept trying different activities to see what helped, because there were times where I didn't want to nap, but I didn't want to be awake, but I didn't want to watch anything, and then I didn't want to read or talk to anyone or go anywhere. So I kept trying different things, and I found out I could paint. So that was, I've never knew I could paint, but I actually can paint. Like people are wanting to buy stuff from me now. But I'm like, I just gift it to people actually because it's more therapy.
Yeah.
So I have all these paintings and then I just see who wants them because the painting helps me, but I can't keep all these paintings. So that was really surprising to me. And then I found different things, you know, people will do. And one of the things I did is I had a memorial
Hmm.
for Skylar. And we had, you know, family come and friends and people could say things and people, you know, music was prepared and so so that was really good. And I wanted to do it one to just honor Skylar. And I know I wasn't the only person grieving them. You know, that's my sister took it really hard too. So that was really helpful for her. You know, to because she was like, again, doesn't know if it would be her niece or nephew. So that's why I always call Skylar they.
Yeah.
And and so she was like, I don't, you know, I'm their aunt and I miss them. And so and her kids said stuff too, because it's their cousin. Um and that just really helped me a lot get myself closure, but people in my life get closure. And then because there were people saying stuff to me, even people that love me, like, you know, you'll get over it or you won't even remember this. And it hurts us to see you so sad. And I know people are trying,
Yeah.
but they don't know how to be there. So I wanted to have it too, to show people this is my child and I take this very seriously. And you can judge or not, but now you know how serious this is for me. And yeah, I always and then the other big thing is just I let myself feel it.
Yeah.
So when I have moments of sadness, because they come, like the other day I was watching a dolphin show at the aquarium
Hmm.
and I'm like gonna get emotional even right now. And it was like I got to see this little boy got brought up to play with the dolphins. And it was one of those things where it's like, oh, like I would love for that for Skylar. And then also it's like, wow, like look how beautiful the world can be. Like this little child is getting to play with a dolphin. And so it's like, it's one of those things where you wish for that, but then you're also like, you know, that's okay because this is the beauty in the world. And so, like I'm doing right now, I just let myself feel it. So everyone else is watching, being like, so cute. And I'm just sobbing in the audience. But I'm like, I'm going to let myself feel it and not bottle it up. Because it's just for me that has me not get stuck or stopped. And I find that it really honors Skylar and my dog Callie too. And so yeah, I have those moments where I just feel it and I just look for ways to keep supporting other people and sharing my story too. So thank you for this opportunity because this is a way to really get to impact other people. And I find that Skylar has caused so much healing
Yeah.
and so much for so many people. And I like to say that they were so powerful, they lived their whole purpose in 3.5 months. And
Yeah.
like any mom's dream to have such a powerful kid.
Yeah, I really appreciate for like you sharing this journey. Like it's gonna help a lot of people like who's going through them kind of difficulties. It's so much like it make easier for those people like hearing the kind of story like they're not alone. Like everyone go through it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like our story like impacting so many people life because so many people had like their child brain damage and they feel like they are victim, but it's not. It's like a kind of blessing as well in the same time. Like in a way you have to be open to like what's going on, even though for your child he's in the best place. If you believe in a heaven, they're in a heaven, like this is what I
Yeah.
believe in. So yeah, they're in the best place, like even though your dog. So there is no like a being upset about them. I know, but it's gonna be there because as a parent,
Yeah.
you're going to be. But they have like a very good cause, isn't it? So, Michaela, we're coming to
Yeah.
the end of this podcast. Really appreciate you sharing your story. I'm so sorry, made you cry as well. But
No,
Emotional episode, isn't it?
it's beautiful. It's like, yeah, I appreciate it. It tells me I'm still feeling, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you know?
Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, those who's listening, if anyone wants to reach out to you, learn more about you, or wanna like get some advice or consultation, like probably they're going through any kind of grief and they love to share, like what's the best place to find you?
Yeah, yeah, of course. The best place to find me, perfect. Perfect. Yes. So the best place to find me and connect with me is on Instagram. My username is at Micaela_D. So it's spelled Micaela, then underscore DEE. So that's the best way to get in touch with me. I have a public account so people can private message. I check, message requests and all of that because I do end up having a lot of people reaching out to me that I've been shared with or want coaching.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for those. And Michaela, I wish you best of luck with your life, your career as well, and hope you inspire a lot more people. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day as well. And thank you for creating this podcast so really so many people can get whatever it is that they need in life. And that's a really, really huge inspiration and gift that you have. So thank you for having me on.
You're most welcome. The pleasure was mine. Really appreciate it. So that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Those who like to know more about Michaela, go visit her Instagram profile as well and send her a DM. So if you have any questions or if you need any help, reach out to her. So until then, I'll talk to you in the next episode. Thank you, everyone. Take care.